Good morning, Poet fans. Welcome to another edition of Poet Primetime here on WCPoets.com. I'm Lance Franney, Associate Athletic Director for Communications, and today I'm with track and field pole vaulter Garrett Silva. Garrett, thanks for hopping on with me today.
Thank you, Lance. How are you doing?
Hey, doing great. Great to see your face. I know we're not in person right now and everything's being done remotely, but how has quarantine been for you and your family, and how has remote instruction been for you?
Quarantine between me, myself, and my family, it's been great. We've been actually getting a lot more family time in. My brother came down from North Carolina, stationed in the Army, and he spent a couple of weeks with us. So definitely getting that reconnection back with our family. And with online learning, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but I've been handling it through the end. I'm almost done. Finals are almost done. So everything's turning out to be better than expected.
Now, during this time in quarantine, have you been able to continue practicing, training, working out, and kind of how have those Zoom sessions been with Coach Neely?
Yeah, so with working out wise, I do have a backyard gym set, which has been very beneficial for me, keeping my strength together. Also, I have been running and pole vaulting on a non-disclosed location. So that also gives me an advantage over a lot of other competitors because not everybody has the advantage to actually get on a track and get pole vaulting and have the weights around them. So I definitely am an advantage with that. And with Zoom, I've been posting here and there with Neely has an online post so we can keep each other accountable for workouts. I've been posting here and there, making sure that I'm showing my activity with working out and training.
Now, are you also good? I know during the season last year, you also did some sprinting as well. Is that the plan moving forward to do the same thing?
The plan moving forward is, since I lost the time to actually pole vault during season, I'm strictly going to do pole vaulting. I think in high school, I was an all-around athlete as well. Mm-hmm. In college, I did a few other jumps as well. But I really mainly want to stick to the pole vault just to get back up there.
Now, there's a possibility that the spring season might commence still. Now that the vaccine is, coming out, things are, looking on the upside here in 2021. Now, the fall and winter sports have already been canceled, but again, they have not announced anything for the spring. So there is that potential. How do you stay positive, especially with the new normal and the uncertainty with everything?
Well, the positive thing about this whole thing is that it gives me time to recuperate, gather everything that I need to know about myself. It also gives me time, since I'm still training, to get better without wasting years as an NCAA athlete. With that, I also do get my 2 years back. So with that, I plan on going to graduate school and vaulting at my graduate school for those 2 years remaining.
Perfect. Now, do you know where you want to go for graduate school?
Maybe Cal State Long Beach or Cal State LA.
Okay. Great programs for track and field for both. So that's really exciting. And you get those 2 years back, even if we don't play in the springtime. But again, even if we do, I think you're still able to get it through the NCAA. So there's a lot of positives there. And I'm glad you'll still be able to compete, which is really nice to hear.
Yes.
Now, like we talked about, you're a pole vaulter for us. You proved to be the best in the conference and the West region. You earned a spot at the national championships back in 2019, the first time in your career. You finished ranked 11th in Division III a year ago after coming in 16th to national championships. You set a qualifying mark of 15 feet 10 inches and currently sit number 1 in the Whittier College record books in the pole vault. How did you get started with pole vaulting, and do you feel that you've gotten even better during your time here at Whittier College under the tutelage of Coach Neely and Coach Ramsey?
Yes, there's a big backstory behind everything that required me to be pole vaulter. First off is following in my brother's footsteps. That was a big setting stone for me. And he pretty much set the marker at 13 feet 1 inch in his high school career. And knowing me as a competitive brother, I'm like, I'm going to shoot for that. I'm going to go for it. And I ended up, surpassing his PR by, a foot and a half, 2 feet.
And how does he feel about that?
I feel accomplished, but then there's always something more to go after. I've never looked at myself as competing against other athletes. I look at myself competing against myself and against the bar. That's the only thing that matters, because you could go higher 1 centimeter, you could go higher a foot.
Mhm. Yeah. Now, what are the big changes that you've made throughout your career? Is it a longer pole? Is it your conditioning and your working out? Is it the little technical things that you've been doing?
I think it's the consistency.
Mhm.
See, once you lose that consistency, then you kind of have to resort back to the basics and start building yourself up. And that's kind of what I did this quarantine, is kind of start from the basics and restructure myself into a different pole vaulter, and also which will eventually allow me to jump a lot higher.
Now, let's talk about that experience about going to nationals last year. Your first time in your career doing that, and I know you want to push yourself to do even more and win that national championship. Were you nervous going into last year's championships?
Um, the environment made me nervous just because I was a new environment, is ecstatic, so many great athletes there. I was happy to be there. It didn't worry me that whether I performed well, if I didn't perform well. What got to me is the experience, just being there. Once I go there one time, I'm getting the experience. If I go there again, I know what to expect. I know the outcome, and I'm definitely looking forward for another shot at nationals. Hopefully, for a chance this year.
hmm Now, like we talked about earlier, you plan to go to graduate school, Cal State LA, Cal State Long Beach, to use those 2 years of eligibility, because you are a senior. But kind of how are you feeling right now in your final season and your final year of graduation being at Whittier College? Kind of take us through kind of what you're feeling, even with not having sports right now.
Well, sports is always going to be there for me. And once I move on to Whittier College, I'm going to go to a different college. But I'm always going to see Whittier College as a hometown for me. I live super close, and eventually I do want to become the next pole vault coach at Whittier College.
And hey, that's great news, and to hear. And pole vaulting has definitely been an area of a big improvement for us here at Whittier College. Yourself, Melissa Tobias, we have a number of other young, talented athletes as well on the team that are doing that. Now, have you been helping coaching them as well, along with Coach Neely?
Yeah, since Coach Neely is a head coach and he's kind of jumping around, and he's a decathlete coach as well. He jumps around here and there. I try my best I can when it was during season to keep other athletes accountable for making sure they're doing the correct workouts, making sure their form is right, giving them just key points, good jobs. Everybody deserves a good job in their career.
Of course. So you're a mentor to a lot of these younger athletes, which is great to see, especially since you've been doing this for 4 years now, which is great. But do you have any words or advice for future poets looking to attend Whittier College, maybe a decision why you chose to attend Whittier? And how were you able to balance both track and field and your academics at the school?
I chose Whittier College because of the environment it was in. It was a small community. You get to have lunch, breakfast with your professors. It's a very interactive, small classes, so you learn a lot better than if you were sitting in a lecture hall of 300 kids. Um, Handling both school and athletics, it was easier in the beginning, but got difficult towards the end because you're really struggling to get those classes that you need done and completed with. Also finding time to whether you should study or go to practice or not. So that's a big decision maker right there.
And how were you able to balance all of that? I mean, you were involved on campus, you were doing a lot of things. So how were you able to manage it all?
I think it was the positivity, encouragement from my parents and a lot of other student athletes and just students in general. A lot of people are like, "Hey, how do you do that? Like, I'm looking to get on the track team. I'm looking to do this." Like, it's all about the time management and how you manage your time. Also about your commitment. If you have the commitment to do well in school and do well on the field, then you're gonna do that.
Now, are you still in touch with some of the athletes on the team right now?
I do. I am in touch with one sophomore and one senior, and a group chat with the majority of the athletes.
Okay, great, because that's huge for the mental side of things, for the sport, which is huge for you to stay in contact with everyone. And how are they all feeling? Do you kind of get an idea from them of what they're doing?
They're kind of just on the waiting point. Some of them are still staying active. I know one friend that I am currently training with in the pole vault is still around. She did not compete previously because of an injury, but she's still on the roster list, Emelisa Fernandez. So she's a sophomore. She's going to be a junior, and hopefully she gets a great start at her pole vault career there.
Okay, that's great. So this kind of takes us to the final part of the interview, Garrett, are these hot seat questions. I'm going to ask you a few little things, get to know who you are a little bit better. So the first thing that pops to your mind. Okay, here we go. The first one, what's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza, anything specific on the pizza?
Oh, pizza with pepperoni, jalapenos, and bell peppers.
Okay.
Pineapple.
If you could go on vacation anywhere, where would you go?
Anywhere that has a hot beach with warm water. So the Bahamas.
Okay. No, I like that. We definitely need vacations like that a lot more for sure. Favorite professional athlete?
It was Sergey Bubka. He's the all-time pole vaulter. He set the world record for 6 meters, and followed by Sergey Bubka would be Ronald Lavillenie and Mondo Duplantis. They're all pole vaulters.
Okay. How about a favorite movie or maybe a genre of movies?
Genre movies. My favorite movie would be Big Fish. It's a storytelling movie, and it reminds me so much of my grandfather.
Okay. Is there a story that you had with your grandfather that's more specific for that?
Yeah, so the story is about storytelling and an older gentleman, a grandfather, telling his story to his grandkid. And that's the way I see my grandfather, because he would always tell me his stories, and I kind of can relate that.
Mm-hmm. Now, was your grandfather an athlete? Did he do pole vaulting at all?
No, my grandfather, he was a track and field athlete. He did the sprints, and my uncle did the hurdles and the long distance. So there is a little track feed in my family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, do you have a favorite hobby?
I do. I love to work on things that are broken mechanically. So not too much technological, like with computers or anything, but more of like a car, a go-kart, a chair, anything, a table.
Wow. Okay. Is there a project that you're working on currently?
I just finished one, actually. It was a reptile cage, because I have reptiles, and I have 5 reptiles, and I built a cage for 6 reptiles, and all it has lighting inside of it, and it looks really great. And I have an upcoming project right now, which is a barrel, an ice chest barrel. So a wine barrel, cut it up, make it up into an ice chest.
Now, that's probably got to be probably one of the best hobbies that I've heard from doing these Poet Primetimes. I got to tell you that. That's impressive.
I got to keep myself busy.
Absolutely. Now, do you have like a hidden talent or anything like that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I could jump 15 feet, 10 inches.
Hey, that's a very good talent. Very good talent at that. Now, one thing regarding that, when you first started doing pole vaulting, were you ever scared at all about snapping the bar or doing the pole or falling over, going backwards at all?
I think there's two parts if you were to be a pole vault athlete, 2 parts of being scared is when you take your first jump into the mat, very first jump into the mat. That's the first scary part. After the first time, it's smooth coasting. The second scary time would be bending the pole. Mm-hmm. And I think I could list one more is once you're bending the pole, another scary thing that you can have happen to you is getting rejected back onto the runway.
Mm-hmm. And has that happened to you before?
I have been rejected back onto the runway. I have snapped a pole. So it's all, once you learn it, once you've been through it, it's kind of just, you prepare for it next time. You just, okay, how can I prevent this from happening? And you just work on yourself.
It is a scary event for sure to take part in. So lots of credit for that. And the last one for you, if you're stranded on an island and you could bring one thing with you, what would it be?
A boat.
A boat.
A boat.
Okay. And
Because I
why
can
is
live
that?
on the island, and then I can boat around the island.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something about tools or something like that for
I,
you to be able to create things and build things on the island.
well, I'm thinking of I could use anything the resources that the island gives me. I could find a rock and make a hammer out of it.
Yeah, that is true. Perfect. Okay, Garrett, well, that's all the time I have for you today for our Poet Primetime. I really appreciate you hopping on with me today and learning a little bit more about you being a pole vaulter for us here at Whittier College.
Thank you, Lance. Appreciate the time.
Okay, well, make sure you're still staying safe, with you and your family, and good luck with your finals coming up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.